I started my video, and as I always do, I'm wondering about the sunlight. I got everything done today. I was a little later getting home. I had some stuff to take care of. I had to finally send the money off for Yo Mister, and figure out a pickup time for him from with Stacy and Brett. He's just going to go right to Thornville, Ohio. We're going to get him ready, probably race him once before that. No, when it's a 6 Series, maybe twice, and then race him in there. You know, everything is razor thin financially, and I guess it probably is for a lot of people this time of year, but definitely us, because I'm always on edge and stressed out about stake payments. I'm always concerned about getting all that money in. And then, I didn't really need to heap on buying JK Victory, buying Yo Mister, and especially the claimer last night. We had bought a claimer last night. His name was Odds on Delray. Now, Megan had called me and said, she'd messaged me first and said, I know it's short notice, but I have this horse. I used to take care of him. I used to have him for the Luthers, and I really liked him, and he's in a 15 claimer tonight. And my take on claimers is simple. Many of you guys know this. We don't claim a lot of horses. My take on claimers is simple. You're asking me to give you $15,000 for something you believe is worth $15,000. Dollar for dollar, not really what we're trying to strive to in the stable, especially when next week he might be worth $100.20, but he could also be worth 60 or 70 cents also, and just not really what really gets my blood pumping. And every time we talk about claimers, we always have the older horsemen come out of the woodwork in the stable to buy chunks of the horse. They love claimers, and it's just an interesting mix. So there was a little snafu. Megan, it was on me. I should have told her when we buy horses, we have claimed horses in Ohio, but we've had to make the stable up beforehand. So I think what we did, we made up like the stable Ohio claiming group or something like that, because we don't want to go through the trouble of paying for a stable name if we don't get the horse. And in some cases, and in this case, I suppose Megan could have just claimed the horse in her name, but she tried to claim the horse in the stable.ca's name. Well, the stable.ca is the umbrella of all those little stables, so to speak. And we don't have a USTA number for the stable.ca. We have one for the stable, Kings County group. We have one for the stable, HB Maestro group. And all those horses have stables, but we don't have the stable.ca USTA number. So when she went to put the claim in, they're like, stable.ca doesn't have a USTA number. And they disallowed the claim. So the horse went out and raced good, finished second in 54. I would have just said no. And I don't know, the gentleman seemed like a really nice man to talk to on via text. I messaged him at 9:40 at night, kind of late, and just said, hey, Megan told me that you guys were okay moving the horse, and she really liked the horse, and there was a history there, and we went to put a claim in on him, and it was disallowed. Any chance you'd want to sell the horse privately? He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. And it would have been exactly what I said. If I did agree to sell him, it would have been the exact same conversation. So very fair, Mr. Prevost, Prevost. Anyway, nice man, Eric. Prevost, I guess. He said we were going to maybe put him back in for 20, and if we put him back in for 15, he's going to be claimed, and the way he raced tonight, probably win. So, yes, we would sell him, but I'd need 17.5. That's fair. He made $2,500 finishing second. He could have said I wanted 20. He could have said no. 17.5, especially considering now we're not tethered to Yonkers. Now, because he wasn't claimed, we can buy him privately and race him wherever we want. Many of you may not know this, but when you claim a horse in a jurisdiction, it's anywhere from 30 to 60 days you can't move it. And I'm not mistaken, if you claim it at Northfield, you have to race back at Northfield. You can't even take the horse to Southern Ohio and vice versa, if I'm not mistaken. In Ontario, you can claim at any track and move it around anywhere in Ontario. But again, it might be 60. It's 30. Some of them are 45. Some of them are even 60 days before you can enter in another jurisdiction. So not being tethered to it, one, getting to watch the horse race, I guess. Two, seeing how well he raced. And most importantly, not having to be tethered, as I said, to New York is a big deal. So I guess you could chalk it up as a convenience fee. Horse definitely looked like he could do a 20 claimer, so paying $17.5 for him is not really the end of the world. So we bought Odds on Delray, a totally different makeup of people buy into Odds on Delray for the most part that bought into Yo Mister or JK Victory or any of the horses we buy that are that condition type. It's so neat to see the different mixes of people, and just happy for Megan because she really liked the horse. And many of you, I'm sure you guys knew this, I'd mentioned it a couple of times, but Scott and Megan had came away with us. We had some friends come away, and Scott and Megan had came away with us to Jamaica when we went, and a lot of fun catching up with Scotty and even Megan or anybody on the racetrack, at a track, or in that setting is more of a business mindset. But sitting down and having a beer with them, I don't know that I've ever done that with Scott. We've always known one another, but and always been friends. But just to sit down and talk about a wide array of things, it's nice to bounce stuff off Scotty too, because he's different. If you know Scott Zeron, I only know 2 people in the entire industry like Scott Zeron. And I'm not going to drop names or anything like that, but Scotty and one other guy are the only 2 people I know. And they're of the mindset where this is their job, right? They don't go for accolades. They go for a paycheck to get paid as much as they can. But this is not their life. And most people get into horse racing because this is everything to them. Winning that Hambletonian, winning the Little Brown Jug, winning the North American Cup Medal in Space, or the Gold Cup and Saucer. This is what they strive for. This is what will make them who they are. And Scott, he's not down with any of that. It's definitely refreshing to talk to somebody with that mindset. It's not something that happens very often. And Megan, just so driven and wants to do good, like we all do. We all do. But these are the people we want to be around also. People that want to do good and want to succeed, not just for themselves, but everybody else. And it was so good to get a horse, whether it was a claim or otherwise, with Megan. And I know that we'll have lots of horses down on the East Coast this summer. We have a ton of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania bred. So that should be a lot of fun. I talked about many of them this week in training. So excited about Haunted House and JK Victory tonight. I expect Haunted House will race well. A couple of horses that are pretty decent in there. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. And JK Victory with the outside coming off 2.5, 3 weeks off. An okay schooler in the mud and then an okay training trip. I think James is going to be super conservative with him. But I just want to see how he looks. A beautiful horse on the track. I haven't seen him train yet, but I've seen him jog, and he's just a beautiful horse on the track. Stonebridge Ducati looked great again this week. So he's going to do double duty next week. A little bit of heavy lifting for the big colt, but he's all right. Wednesday, the rail again. Good draw on horse. Drew the rail again at Northfield Park, and then he's going to go back Sunday in Miami Valley in the Non-Winners of 4 series. So I don't think he's going to have to work too hard from the rail. It should be a good tightener for him, if nothing else, and then he can race Sunday at Miami Valley. I'm not too concerned with the back in 4 days in this particular instance with Stonebridge Ducati. He's fairly fresh, and he's on his game, and he's never looked better than he is right now. I went over to a lot of the vet stuff with Mike today in Ohio. It's so nice to have people that'll take the time just to sit down and either have a drink, pick up the phone, and call me in. We just get to talk about things for about half an hour. It's so nice to have people that you work with that you can do that with. And Mike is a great guy to talk to. Got a great attitude, very down to earth, and has a lot of common sense when it comes to the horses, and I love that about him. I'd said Vaquero Blue Chip, we wanted to castrate him. He called me and said he's a ridgeling. Okay, must have missed that. My apologies. So we're going to castrate him probably at Brown University, same as we did with Affection. Blanton's Blue, there was a tiny OCD found in his left hind ankle. He said, okay, I know you said you wanted to geld him. I think it's come to that time. He needs to focus more. I just don't think, for a horse, if he was New Jersey bred training on a half-mile track, much like Ready for Landing, I'd be like, all right, maybe we need to just get him to a bigger facility. At some point, this might be a tighter track for him, and he's never going to race on a half, so who cares? It's the opposite with Blanton's Blue. He's going to race most of his races on a half. So he has to get around a half good. It just needs to focus, right? And when I see the change in the horses we have castrated, I think it's time. Vaquero Blue Chip and Blanton's Blue are both going to be castrated. I'm going to pop that little OCD out of the front of the left hind ankle of Blanton's Blue. No concerns there at all. The time down from the chip will be the same as healing from the castration, given what we just went through with It's not affection. Activation. And then Sedona Hill ended up, she had a little tiny OCD in her left front ankle. I knew something was pinching her. It's not a big deal. It's only tiny. And if this was 5-10 years ago, we might not even have taken it out. But take it out, you're talking 2.5, 3 weeks downtime. You know, it's funny. I said that in a horseman that was an older horseman said, Anthony, it's a month in the stall and a month of hand walking. Maybe 20 years ago, it's 2 weeks, get the sutures out, put the harness back on her. That's what it is here. So, and we've done this with 10, 15 horses and never once had an issue. So, Sedona Hill, it's not really going to impact her. She was started up. Remember, we bought her at the Ohio sale. She was started up before these other horses. So, no concerns there. Very happy. I had 3 horses I wanted rectified and had a wonderful conversation about with Mike about doing that. We talked about Blue Tesla working on her AST and her feet. He was on top of that, as was Jason and the girls over at in that shed row. And then Stonebridge Giacatti, remember I told you the other day, felt a little swimmy, as I put it. He said his back was a little sore, one stifle was a little sloppy. He was going to iodine. What they'll do is put an iodine blister on their stifles. Mike likes to do it about 2 days, 3 days before they race, so it's always worked really well. So he's on top of him also. Said yes, 1 foot, the inside corner was a little hot, a little sore. The girls are going to work on that. Cindy's going to work on that too. So it's nice to see everybody on top of their game heading into this week. Not everything was perfect. As I said, Macho Martini raced poorly. I did a 10-minute video yesterday about Macho Martini, and I opted not to post it. And it wasn't for nothing more than frustration. I guess an oral diary is what it was last night. You know, there was no vitriol. There's no anger towards Macho Martini. We know what he was when we bought him. He was erratic. You know, does he need a rest? Is he sore? Everybody said, oh, he needs to do this. You know, the horseman saying, oh, he needs a screen on. He needs this on. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need any of that on. Relax. At the end of the day, whether it's the shoes or whether there's a little soreness here or there, we'll get him squared away. He was racing pretty good for Tim Twaddle, and he's going back there. In fact, I had called Patty at Doyle Transport probably about 9 seconds after the start of his race. By the time he got to the wire, I already had him locked in to Monday's transport out of Ontario to the Meadows, and that's there's no real dialogue to be had there. He's not staying in Ontario, and there's no point putting him up for sale. I know some people would have been angry and said, hey, we got to get rid of him right now. He is absolutely worthless off his last 3 chart lines, and I mean worthless. So there was no lameness today. He ate his breakfast. There was no issues there, but we have to get him squared away. We have to get this horse sorted. So let's get him back to where at least he was racing flat and he was doing okay. We'll get some good lines on him, and then we'll reevaluate after every start. And if we don't like what we see, at that point, we get a few lines on him, then we can sell him. And if he does start coming around, great. And if there's anywhere in between, maybe the horse needs a little bit of a rest. But I don't really think that I'm that interested in resting Macho Martini, because the upside of him, as I said to everybody, I told everybody he's about a 20 to 25 claimer 3 weeks ago. There was some of our clients that wanted to bring him back to Ontario. Thought that we could resurrect the old Macho Martini, and we did. Yeah, just not the old one that you wanted to see. He's not a 2-year-old anymore. We resurrected the one that was acting up and actually caused Luke Blais and his owners to put the horse up for sale to begin with. So we're going to send the horse back to the Meadows immediately. And he's going to qualify on Tuesday morning at the Meadows. So hopefully Dave Pallone, I know Hunter's not there on Tuesdays. I doubt Dave Pallone goes to the qualifiers, but sometimes he does. So we'll see. But Macho Martini will be at the Meadows Monday afternoon and will be in to qualify Tuesday morning. Fingers crossed he gets the job done. What else? We said goodbye to a couple of horses. I was a little bewildered about how poorly progressed. I know he raced poorly for us, but he was horrible last night. I don't really know what's going on with this guy. You know, I'm not one to believe in it, and I dismissed it when somebody had said to me, I think it was Jason, one of our clients, had said to me a few weeks ago, do you think it's a Lasix? Well, I did win on Lasix with him, but something happened to him. It's not his heart. He's not bleeding. Yeah, he looks a little sore. I think they probably took the flip-flops off him is why he looked a little sore last night. But what's going on with this guy? I don't really understand it. It is what it is, I suppose, and just one of those things with horses. But I was beside Harry today jogging, and talking about Harry's barn, and he was he looked at me and he wondered why we didn't put Looks Like Money in the New Holland series. I said, well, first off, it's for non-winners of 150 last year. Maybe he fit in and wins, but I said, Harry, the horse has got the graduate. We decided, you got him great. We decided that we were going to go a little more Grand Circuit with him this year and racing him against Locatelli and those aged horses when at a point when he should be getting a little tired. I just don't think is beneficial to him. At some point, he will need 3-4 weeks off for sure. I'm getting to the point where I think Harry just doesn't like to rest them. He doesn't like to turn them out very long. They're racing good, but he will. You can't race all year long, not get a rest, and go right up against the best horses in North America in June of their 4-year-old year. So at some point, he'll need a little rest. And if he doesn't get in, as I said to Johnny, if he doesn't get in next week on Monday, then we'll turn him out. We'll take advantage of our time off, give him 3-4 weeks off, and bring him back in that regard. He's been very good. Locatelli, I saw him train today. He looked good. I saw Resolute Bay train today. He looked good. Our 3-year-olds I watched, I was so happy today. It was so cold, though. It was bittersweet. I was just shivering training the horses, but then I get to watch Carter Michael Deal go by and Spitfire Overseas go by, and they look good. And for me, the happiest I was today was sitting behind Crantini. I don't know whether it was the walker and the pool and what it was with Crantini. Today was the first day maybe ever in his entire life he never threw his head. Not once. Not one time did he throw his head. It was so weird. I went out, jogged him 3 laps on a 5/8 mile track. I turned him, went 1.5 miles of them. Last mile in 2:30, which I'd been in 50, but it's not a big deal. Who cares? But he never tightened the line. No boots, no poles, no just set of bell boots on up front. And he trained fantastic. I was so proud of him. And this is 3 trips in a row. 3 training trips in a row now that he's done it right. So who knows? Maybe when I'm not in town and he gets to swimming on the walker, maybe he enjoys it. Maybe just gives him a different perspective. I don't know what it is. I mean, but really, really excited about what I've seen from him. And speaking of excitement, you know, I had started this video 3 or 4 times, and it wasn't clear what I was trying to say, right? It wasn't clear what I was trying to do. And when it came to the horses, you know, this is a time of year when things are tight for me. Super financially, things are super, super tight. Not as bad as they've been in the past because, you know, we have a lot more clients and a lot more money on the table, so to speak. But they always get tight. And, you know, buying JK Victory, then buying Yo Mister, even claiming the horse last night, it does get tough because it isn't a perfect time of year. But quite frankly, it may be a tight time of year for a lot of people. Whether they just don't like carrying as much money or whatever it is, but maybe that is why we ended up with the horses we ended up with. People wanted to create a little space between them and the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. So, you know, it's an imperfect time to buy horses, but at the same time, maybe a very good time to buy horses. Very excited, very happy to conclude the sale of Yo Mister. Happy even to get the claimer with Megan last night. Happy and excited to watch Haunted House JK Victory tonight. And then the way that our horses are racing, these are the here and now horses. Like Looks Like Money, even a horse like Stonebridge Acadi. We needed Stonebridge Acadis all winter, and we just didn't have them. And then it is getting dark now. And then to see him race so well last night, or this week, I was really, really happy. HP Maestro just in too tough. He fits the class Stonebridge Acadi raced in. So what we're going to do this week, race Stonebridge Acadi, then he's going to Southern Ohio. In comes HP Maestro, who he's got a little more bite to him even than Stonebridge Acadi. So that should be a lot of fun for him. He only has 1 more win in that class, and then we'll have to figure out what we're doing with him. But very happy with what I've seen from HP Maestro also. Just too tough. Just in too tough, and that's not his fault. So he'll be coming back. So as soon as Acadi gets out of that class, in comes HP Maestro also, and that's exactly what we want to see happen. The horses we have coming back, as I touched on briefly, Resolute Bay coming back. Locatelli, trained good. He's coming back. Sintra will be on the comeback trail sooner than later. J.K. Mickey Mantle will bring him out of the field at some point. We have all these nice 3-year-olds getting ready. The horses trained great in Ohio this week. It was a little drought for the stable for about a month where things looked shaky before we ended up picking up some of these pretty talented animals, but this is exactly what I wanted to see. Didn't quite get it put together as quickly as I wanted, but we got it to work. And the only concerning part to me, obviously, at this point of year is getting all the stake payments out. So step by step, February, March, April, a little bit of May. It gets a little dicey, but with the power we have behind the stable right now, it still should be a lot of fun. So I'm just looking quickly what else went this week. Sister Solange, kind of classy, will qualify on Wednesday. Now I can't be there. I'm going to race Eldie's Patrick. So Jason Merriman's going to make his debut, albeit in a qualifier for the stable. He trained both of these horses by themselves. Kind of Classy's got a lot of speed, but she's also got a lot of cow in her. She can be a little ignorant sometimes, and if he's got her trotting good, she can roll right along. It wouldn't shock me to see her qualifying 58 or 59 or make a break. Sister Solange, the key to Sister Solange was keep her eating. So if Cindy's had it, I know she was going to train today around 20. I'm curious if she ate all her supper. I'm going to send a message out to Cindy. It's so nice. I talked to Mike calling me about the horses, or the vet calling me, or our surgeon calling me to update us on some of the scopes they saw this week on the horses. But also our caretakers that care so much for the horses to reach out to me and say, hey, this horse was good this week, or this horse, I thought there was a little heat in Hakate's foot, or maybe this horse isn't eating as good as they were earlier on the week. It's so nice that people care so much about the horses, because make no mistake, we have to put the work into them, but we have to see what happens after they work. That's the most important time of the day. I've talked to you guys about this. After they train, I like to walk up and down the shed rows. Who's eating, who's sulking, who's sharp, who's nickering and biting at people. These are all telltale signs of where the horses are in their training, and to have people that care about them the way they do is very important. It was so great the other day. One of our new caretakers had said to me, he goes, you said in a video last night, and it dawned on me that he had enough foresight to actually start watching my videos to see what I was saying about the horses. So for Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you go the extra mile to take a couple of minutes out of your night to at least hear me ramble on about the stable and what's going on with it. Now, stay close. I talked about him this week. The surgeon was super happy with the way. So he had an ulcer on his eye. She told me the other day that ulcer is down to 5% of what it was when I saw him. This is very tedious. My wife and also Carrie had gone back, and every 2 hours for 2 weeks, this horse had to be treated right up until midnight, and then he could start again at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's 6-hour window. But everybody chipped in, and this horse was treated every 2 hours for 2 weeks. Now he's on a 4-hour schedule, and next week we hope that he'll just be down to topical ointments on his eye. But his eye looks good, and as I said to Teresa, who takes care of him today, you know what we did do in this time off? Every time we have a horse down, we'd like to look at the silver lining. The silver lining for Stay Close is he's put 80 or 100 pounds on, which is so good for him. He needs that weight so badly. And nice to see him put that weight on. So very happy to see Stay Close. In this whole time, he's been on the walker and he's been jogging. So it doesn't take a lot for the surgeon to say, okay, you can start moving him and training him. We can just put him out and train him a few times, and he'll be ready to go in no time. Dustin Hanover, I was very happy with the way he also raced this week, closing on the end of it. He's a super picky eater also, and I said to James, I want him covered up for a number of reasons. He needs to learn and get his confidence up, but most importantly, after a really tough training trip or mile, he doesn't eat that great. So those kind of miles, he should come home and just rip the bucket off the wall and feel sharp. That may sound silly, but it also, I think that Dustin Hanover's got some really good racing ahead of us for us. I can see that engine start slowly ramping up. And I know it's hard to say that when he's only trotting in 2 minutes in the freezing rain and mud. Just wait. He's at the right track. He's got the right guy driving him. I think you're going to be very happy with what you see from Dustin Hanover in the coming months. So that is there. Let's click on Dominic here. He had Dustin this week. Eldie's Patrick's now moved out of his barn. Stay Close. GC's doesn't got a lot going right now. White Tiger also trained today and trained very, very good. So that is on him. Mario's got Renegade Gypsy going. I know Tom had asked me a number of times every week, how close is World for Two? How close is World for Two? Any update in World for Two? And I know that's because Tom owns a big chunk of the horse. But as I tell everybody, the horses will tell us when they're ready, and it's hard. If you're somebody that's learning about the game and you have people around you that have knowledge of the game that aren't us, you're going to have people all the time saying, well, horse should be ready by now. This horse should be able to do this horse should be able to do that. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult because those opinions don't matter. They don't know the horse. And when it comes to World for Two, I'll have people all the time message me about World for Two and other horse saying, hey, this horse should be ready now. How would you know? How would anybody know? You don't know the horse. You haven't sat behind him. You haven't trained him. Trust me when I tell you, he'll be ready to go when he's ready to go. And the one thing that I want our horses to do is to be able to qualify, go out in the track, and head to the winner's circle. And that is when they are ready to go. When you know that you can qualify them and win with them right off the hop, that's when they're ready to go. And World for Two and More Than You Know will be schooling next week. And then More Than You Know has a stake race coming up in Pennsylvania soon also. That's going to be tight timing. If he can make it, great. I believe he can. I have to check the date again. I believe he is going to make it, which will make me happy for sure. And I'm sure my partners on More Than You Know happy. Shown a lot of talent, a lot of speed, a lot of pop last year, and that has carried through again to this year. Emily does such a great job. I know she loves the horses. It's nice to have people that really enjoy taking care of the horses they take care of, and it's upsetting when they leave for some people. And I joke with her all the time. I know it's hard on some of our caretakers when the horses leave, but we're trying to move them around best place we can. I think that series in Pennsylvania will be a lot softer, unless Burke's got some killers, which he usually does, but a lot softer than, say, the non-winners of 2 or 3 at some point here in Ontario. As I said today, I'll give you a little recap of the babies now that I got this iPad. It's pretty handy actually having this here. Super happy with the way the horses went this week. I'll give you, I did a more in-depth video earlier on, and I sent it out on Saturday, but I'm going to give you a little run through of where I see the horses. Holly in the clouds, although she did a little extra work today, 2 trips, she was absolutely fantastic the last trip. This is a very, very talented filly, and I cannot wait to see her race this summer. I think she's got a lot going on for her. Big, powerful, but quick on her feet. For a filly in February, very quick on her feet for her size. I think this is a very, very nice filly. Drebin was great today again. Very happy with this guy. I'm just going to talk about the horses I thought were impressive. Insider Trading was fantastic again. Almost all the green shoes. No, all of the green shoes look awesome right now. I was going to say Royal Emeralds, what she did the other day was unbelievably good. To show the poise and focus that she did for a horse that we really didn't give a lot of credit to for her poise and focus. It was more a little erratic. When we have her good, she's good. But for her to go out with her feet had to be sore. For her to go out and do what she did the other day was impressive. So very happy with all of the green shoes so far. Flash Fly, James loves her. That's his favorite, which I'm happy with. Seasons of Love looked incredible, as did Insider Trading. Today, Insider Trading was right beside me with Drebin. We were smoking on the end of it, and they look great. Lonely Lakewood will look great again. I see Winter Bells, somebody finally sent me a message and said, I see Winter Bells finally sold out. I told everybody the other day, Danny had asked me actually like 2 days ago. He said, why does a horse like Winter Bells have no shares? I said, well, I can't go out and just tell everybody, oh, listen, you should buy this horse. I don't know if you should or you shouldn't. I told everybody how good she's been training. I told everybody that she was one of her best horses. She did it again today. First over, got up and beat Lonely Lakewood, and they were making it down the lane. Very impressive mile from them. James's Colt's starting to look good. Blarney Castle. Time is on my side. James was right. James said to me, he goes, you know what he's like? He's like a better Stellite. You're not sure if they're really going to put out all the time, but they look so flashy. And he does. I was in behind Amy down lane, and rather than file right and try and chase Amy down, I dropped him in behind Johnny when he got right up on his helmet. Then he wanted to get right at them, and then after the mile, I moved them up in between them, and he took off in between. I think this is going to be a really, really good horse for us. But James is 100% right. We just got to keep him covered all the time. Don't give him any reason not to like his work, because right now he's really good at it. So Time Is on My Side was very good. McPaisley, this whole set was good. James Arthur, my father's colt was good again too. And then the last set, Punch the Clock. Amy said she'd made a little break. I said, yeah. The track was deep and very hard on the horses today, very, very taxing on the horses. And I think down the backstretch she was following Don't Talk About Bruno, and then she was starting to get a little tired too. And she just kind of wandered out a little bit, like she was going to, like all the babies do when they're babies. And I told her, I said, sitting behind her, you can tell she's 6 weeks behind the other horses. Speed-wise, 250 is not going to matter. On a better track, she'll have no problem. But as far as fundamental work into the horses, she's 4 to 6 weeks behind everybody, but that's completely fine. Easy on the turns. Amy thought maybe she was tied up a little bit today. She tied up 2 weeks ago, but went out and did her work. Finished up her mile well. She just said she wasn't herself, really up on the iron and doing her work. I said, that's fine. We can maybe get a supplement for her. Maybe turn her out in the morning just to make sure. Maybe she's one of those horses that just ties up a little bit easy. But she did her work well. Don't Talk About Bruno was good. But the story of the last set were the two pacers and how much better they were. Great Bet. I know that Dave and a lot of people were wondering, is Great Bet lazy? Is he coming on? And I told everybody, just relax. This horse will come forward. He came forward today. He looked very good. And J-Port Beach Boy, both those horses were marching through the wire. Right beside them was Don't Talk About Bruno. Easy in the turns, was in behind, and then I had made a break with Punch the Clock. When it came to Ohio this week, I changed all the sets for today. So I'm just going to run through everything I see in front of me, and I'll tell you who was impressive. Really don't care. I thought looked great this week. Now, these aren't going to be in alphabetical order. I made sets for everybody today and scratched all the horses that were either going really good and could use a day off, or horses that, there were some horses that went Wednesday, didn't do the work perfect, and I trained them hard on Thursday. Those horses didn't need to train today also. So only 5 small sets of 5 today. So 15 or 16 horses did not go out the door, or didn't train today in Ohio. I'm going to run through all the horses I thought were impressive this week. Really don't care. Was impressive. Arson, Prince Charmer, Pickpocket. Those 4 horses were all very, very good this week. And that's not to say these other ones weren't. I'm just telling you who stood out to me. Pull the Shoes looked powerful, although she did make a break late in the stretch. I'm very happy with both the Illinois fillies, AC Swan and Alibaba. Big, strong fillies. You can tell the foundation was put in wonderfully by Mr. Eaton, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with these fillies this summer. Southwind Digit just needs to work. She's transitioning right now. Not that kind of transition. She's transitioning right now from getting a little power, a little strength on. Probably take those flip-flops off her. I think she'll be a lot better. Militant looked great. No Chance in Hill. Quietly becoming one of our better horses, and just really impressed with this colt and have been for a while. Mounds for All has really come forward. Irresistible Sun was maybe one of the biggest movers of the week. Just so impressed with the way this colt looked. Goldbug Hanover looked good. Gypsy Hill again. Talk about our trotting colts. We have a number of very, very nice trotting fillies and trotting colts for Ohio at this point. I'm a little guarded because I was certain we had 6 killers last year in the filly division. We had 1, but the other 5 really let me down. We have nice trotting fillies, nice trotting colts, even some pacing fillies and colts this year too. So it should be a lot of fun. Another horse that really caught my eye this week was Memory and Imagination. Probably the biggest reason that we're gelding Blanton's Blue and Vaquero Blue Chip was how well Memory and Imagination looks now. The fact that we did castrate him, he was being a real problem child, so to speak, in the barn and on the track. Now, all business. So that you can blame. They can blame Memory and Imagination for that. As I said, Alibaba was great this week also. Affection, got to be near the top of the class. This filly just looks impressive. I know Ben Cross had messaged me after the video the other day and said, we paid a lot of horses into the Breeders' Crown. What about this filly? You're right. It happened to be the 15th, and I did switch the payment and did make sure that she was paid into the Breeders' Crown. She looked amazing the other day. So very happy with Affection. I wasn't displeased with Blanton's Blue. I think he just needs some help. Castrate him, take that OCD out, and away we go. Cowboy by the Sea looked incredible. Pacing colt for Ohio. I'm Fancy Like Pacing filly. Not our best pacing filly, but a very nice pacing filly. Lover's Play, trained as strong and as powerful. Far exceeded what I thought she would do on Thursday morning. She did go again because she made a break, but what she did on Thursday was impressive. Very impressed with this filly. Mel Gibbswan was great also. Probably the fastest 2-year-old we have so far has been Mel Gibson. I trained him in 229, 230, which is lots. Probably a little more on Thursday than he needed, but I wanted to make sure he got it through his head. You turn the right way of the track, it's time to go. It's not time to dawdle. And he was very, very good. Ready for landing. I think we're going to bring Ready for Landing back to Ontario. Such a big colt on a half-mile track. Did his work well. Very impressed with the way he's doing it. But I can't help but think on a 5/8 and then on a 7/8, considering he's only going to race in, New Jersey, maybe Kentucky a little bit, possibly. And if we're really lucky, he'll make it to Hoosier. Those are all mile and 7/8 mile tracks. No real need for him to be training down in Northfield Park, I don't think. He's done his work well. I think you'll probably see him come home to Ontario when a stall opens up. Now, Procrastinator was sold. Looks like money is likely going to be going into the field at some point. Lady All-Stars in the sale on Monday. There are stalls opening up. We're going to fill those stalls up right away. Royal Emeralds. I talked about all the horses that were impressive this week. Top billing has to go to Royal Emeralds. What she did the other day was impressive. It really floored me. The fact that her feet were sore, she got shod the morning of the training trip, went out, they had to be bothering her. For her to go out and beat Sedona Hill the way she did was exceptional. That was a very, very tough mile for her. Sedona Hill, just talked about her. She was good. Sunset Acres girl's been great. Widespread Panic, I know exactly what's going on with him. I talked to the blacksmith for about 10-15 minutes after Thursday's training, and we talked about how we're going to shoe him and address the issues at hand. I think you're going to see a different horse come next week. Vaquero Blue Chip, going to castrate him. I just think he needs to pay more attention, just focus. And we've given him a wide berth. He is the twin of Enzo Aguayo in almost every way, shape, or form. It's like a time machine. We just tattooed and called him a different horse and put him in 2023. And he's not getting the wide berth Enzo did. He is going to be castrated right away. And then probably, as I said, I love I'm Fancy Like, but I don't know if she wants any part of Venice Blue Chip. Venice Blue Chip is ultra impressive. You know, when you look at Cowboy by the Sea, Venice Blue Chip, and then at least 3 trotting fillies and trotting colts, we are going to be active in the next generation. We are going to be excited to be in the next generation, and we should have a lot of fun this year in Ohio in particular. A lot of nice horses here under our barn's roof. Pennsylvania looks strong. Ontario looks strong. New Jersey, New York, don't kid yourself. Blanton's Blue, I'm sure it'll be fine. Take that chip out, castrate that horse. I think in a month we'll be talking quite differently in the context of Blanton's Blue. The horse got tons of power, tons of speed. Just need to put it all together. There's lots of time, but I'm not wasting time either. And Really Don't Care has just been an exceptional filly. So you look at it, Illinois, we have the 2 fillies. Indiana, we have those 3 trotters that look very, very good. Pennsylvania, an entire basket full of nice horses. Ontario, we got some really nice horses for Ontario also. As I said, Pennsylvania, Ontario, Ohio, Kentucky, New Jersey, New York, Indiana, Illinois, well represented at the stable.ca so far in February training. So that's the scoop on the horses. Excited about the new horses. For those of you that got involved in Odds on Delray, he'll be racing next week somewhere. The good news is that could be anywhere because we bought him. We didn't claim him. Yo Mister, you're going to see show up probably in about 10 days. I suspect he's going to race once, if not twice, in Miami Valley before that now is a 6 series. And if he wins and we're not in it, then there's a number of places to race him also. JK Victory races tonight. Haunted House races tonight. Got some horses on the move in Ohio. Some horses qualifying this week in Ohio. Some horses getting close to qualifying this week. I know that Dominic said Gandalf is going to the track. Horn Player is going to the track. Landing Pad is going to the track, and a number of horses not far behind them. And then just off their flank is, again, White Tiger, Locatelli, Resolute Bay, all those horses that are on their way back. So there was a lull. There was a little lull in action at the stable, but it's come together nicely. One thing I didn't touch on, I spoke to Jim King very closely today for about 20 minutes. He's in Florida. It was his birthday the other day. He went down to look at his babies training in Florida, go with a couple of them, and he wanted to talk to me about Atlas Hanover. He said, I know you talked about this series in Ontario, non-winners of 150. That's the Open for the most part, or just below it. And I said, yeah. He said, listen, you do what you want. I don't think he needs a rest right now, this horse. I know first over into that horse probably wasn't his best trip the other night. Timmy knew that. We talked about it after the race. I'd like to give him a week off, and I'd like to race him here. This is a good class for him, this $17,000 class. And he said that series, unless I'm mistaken, goes for 3-4 weeks. You know, we can look at both. He said, Anthony, worst case scenario, he said, your horse, you do what you want. Worst case scenario, you watch to see what the first leg looks like in Ontario. All the while, you're racing him for $17,000 US in Dover, where I think he can do in this class. He's going to get in every week we enter him, which is important, as you know. You get a look at exactly who's hanging out in this New Holland thing in Ontario, and if you want to take him back, take him back. But if you get him here, and it's tough, you're not going to send him back to Dover. And I don't know if he needs a rest right now. So it might be... Now, you could say, well, he's trying to sell you on keeping the horse there, but it's not just that. It might be a little that, but I don't think it is. Jimmy's got a full burn. He doesn't need any extra horses there. I think he likes Atlas Hanover. I think he's found a great class for him. I think he can do good in there. And all things considered, I appreciate the fact that he took the time out of his day to call me and talk to me about Atlas Hanover when he could have just said, here you go. Yeah, Doyle's going to pick him up on Wednesday. So I appreciate... the extra time. Again, this is why we're in business with people that seem to care about our horses, the horses that are in their care, and the stable.ca in general. So I appreciate that very much. So for now, Atlas Hanover is going to stay in Dover. We're going to watch the first leg of that New Holland and see how tough it is. I think it's going to be a salty crew. So race him until we decide to rest him and then bring him back. You know, it's the same plan we had with Locatelli last year. A little different with Looks Like Money this year. But rest them, try to miss the better part of the summer and then have them ready for the latter part of the summer, into the fall, into the winter. And that's what we wanted to do with Locatelli. It worked out well, except for the class didn't fill, right? The last time, just so we're clear, the last time the Open Trot was won here in Ontario, Locatelli was the one that won it. That's how long it's been since the Open Trot filled. And further to that point, the second class from the top is the one that Looks Like Money's won twice in a row and then didn't fill the other day. So I know Harry would like to race him until, much like we did with Locatelli, but that's not the plan for Looks Like Money. He's got bigger fish to fry. We weren't ready. We weren't interested in having Locatelli ready for the Graduate and a number of those 4-year-old stake races, but we are with Looks Like Money. So that is the plan. I would say that if Looks Like Money's class doesn't fill next Monday, then we'll probably turn him out for, since that would be 2 weeks, we'll turn him out for 3 more weeks and bring him back in. Skip the New Holland, although I don't think he fits it. And if he does on wins, I don't care. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have the New Holland, race him, and then, oh, here's the Graduate, we're going to go into that. It doesn't work that way. So he's going to need a little time off, a little rest. We're going to rest him probably for another 3 weeks and then bring him back up and start him up. And at that time, Locatelli, White Tiger, Resolute Bay, Renegade Gypsy, Sintra, they'll all be either racing or very close to racing. So it's all about these waves, and I have to look at the next wave, the wave after that, the 2-year-olds, and the here and now. Talk to all of our trainers. It's been a great week of communication. It's been a great week of dialogue with our clients, with our trainers, with our veterinarians. I think we have everything going the right way at this time of year. So my stress level today on Saturday is as low as it can be for this time of the year, which puts a smile on my face for sure. So getting ready to watch the races here at Mohawk. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to the Haunted House group. Good luck to JK Victory Group and everybody racing this week. It's been a wonderful week. We're back on track. Feels like we're back on track. We'll see how things go next week. So with that, I'll let you go. Hope you guys had a great weekend wherever you are, and I hope you have a better week next week. Take care.